Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and welcome to a brand new LEGO convention tour and adventure video. Just recently, I went on vacation to Korea and Japan, and I actually got really lucky because my hotel happened to be connected to a mall, which happened to be hosting BricKorea 2022 in December of 2022. It was a massive open-air LEGO exhibition showcasing some of the best mocks from the Korean LEGO fan community, and I'm so excited to showcase all of them in this video right now. So I was staying at the Intercontinental, which was attached to the COEX Mall. It appears that they do run BricKorea every single year. So if you are interested in checking this out, if you're in the Seoul area, I would highly recommend it because it was a really great time. And I was very surprised to see so many Bionicle items on display. Bionicle mocks, characters, reimaginings of classic sets and new sets. It was so cool to see the Bionicle community thriving in the Korea convention, and it was a really great time experiencing a LEGO convention exhibit outside of the US. And so, without further ado, let's jump right in to the tour. Okay, so here we are at the BricKorea convention. This is something that happens every single year, but it's really exciting because I was kind of surprised by this. It literally is just connected next to my hotel, so I just went down the escalator and up again and found this just waiting for me, which is so cool. So we're actually here pretty late at night, so nothing is actually open yet. We're gonna take a closer look later on tomorrow when the actual store opens, because there is a LEGO pop-up store with discounts advertised as 20 to 40% off, so that's exciting. But going over to the convention here, they've got all sorts of LEGO models, LEGO artwork, and there's a lot of Bionicle stuff here too. I mean, you've got some Bionicle artwork, and immediately you can see these on the walls. These are really nice looking prints. But even moving our way into the convention area itself, there are a ton of different models that I'm really excited to take a look at. So you kind of see a sneak peek at what you can see inside the convention here right now. I am so excited to go here tomorrow and actually see what's inside. But yeah, let's check it out. So the convention goes in every direction. You've got some hallways over here with LEGO builds. Right behind me, you've also got a ton of LEGO builds here. I can't wait for all the lights to be on to see these in its full glory, but it's kind of crazy how all these LEGO sets and mocks are just kind of sitting out here for people to look at, which is really cool. Don't think you'd see that in the US, but hey, you know what? This is fantastic. They even have a massive LEGO throne here, so you can take a seat. And this is just such a cool place. I cannot wait to dive into my favorite mocks and see all the sets. And it even continues down here because you can see right down here they have a full-on exhibition of all sorts of different LEGO mocks. There's a Bionicle section, there's a lot of castle stuff and so on. And if you turn around, this entire area is the convention. So that is just so cool. Very interesting how that's literally connected to my hotel. What a surprise. Surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. So let's go take a look at all the stuff we can see here. Much like our other LEGO convention videos, like our look at BricKon in Seattle, the focus of this video will be primarily to showcase certain slideshows, as well as different types of builds that you could see at this convention, and I'll be kind of popping in and sharing my commentary here and there as we kind of take a look at all the different amazing mocks, but for the most part, this is kind of just going to be a chill video where we're going to go and look at all the incredible builds that I got a chance to see at the convention, and just take our time, hear some music, and check out the builds. So, without further ado, let's just jump right in. That was our quick intro after I was actually in person there myself. It was really cool to be able to experience this. Again, literally connected to my hotel. I stayed at the Intercontinental Hotel in Korea, and I literally went down the escalator, crossed over to a mall, went up another escalator, and there was BricKorea Convention 2022. So really cool to see this, and let's jump right into it. So just a few words on the layout of the convention first. One thing that I found was really interesting about the way that BricKorea was set up was that there was no entrance fee. It did not cost money to enter it or see the mocks. There was an actual kind of pop-up LEGO store right outside the convention itself, which means that this was in part sponsored by LEGO, or they had a partnership officially with LEGO to do this. And I think the strangest thing was that my flight got in and it was really late. It was probably 11, 12 p.m. or whatnot. It was quite late in the evening, and all of the sets were just, or the mocks at least, were just kind of out in the open. Anybody could have just touched them, played around with them, but I think it was really cool because in the US, I don't think they ever could have been able to just leave the amazing builds here. There's so many amazing stuff that you can see, obviously some buildings and trains and minifigures and a lot of emphasis on Bionicle. And I think the thing is that in LEGO conventions in the US, there's always like a lot of really stringent rules about, oh, there's borders that you can't cross and making sure that kids can't grab things or touch them. But here, all of the builds were kind of just out in the open. I was literally the only person wandering around here because it was so late in the evening. I mean, you can see a couple of other people like this late at night, but for the most part, there were no dividers or anything. You could reach in and just grab the mocks, which I thought was really cool because it shows that they're really trusting in terms of just allowing these builds to be laid out. They were in perfect condition. Like, there were no signs of things being toppled over or maybe kids who had touched the builds. I guess it's just a cultural difference where people are a lot more trusting and people who are guests know not to touch the mocks and know not to grab things that aren't theirs. And I was really happy with that because I kind of wish that that could be the same sort of thing here in the US. I don't think they would ever be able to just do an amazing exhibition like this and just leave the builds there overnight with anybody could walk in, get access to it. It was a public mall. Anyone could walk in and really have anything happen to them. So really happy with the way that it was really open because that allowed me to get a lot of amazing footage, especially when no one was around. I got a chance to really take close-up photos. You can see some incredible custom pad printed minifigures there. Perfect timing because we now know that with the No Way Home leak, we're going to be getting that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire official minifigures returning again in Lego set form. But yeah, just a really nice exhibit, and this wasn't even the main part of it. So this was kind of the lead-in to the exhibit, where you can see a lot of different styles of mocks that were just in these corridor-like arrangements, so you could go down the hallways. Look at that, Ninjago Crystallized. That's one of the crystal dragons from the newest Crystallized show. That was really cool to see. I actually really want to recreate this in my own collection, because that was fantastic. I definitely want to build that myself. But yeah, as you can see, my camera's just right above it. No dividers, no anything. They're just right there out in the open. So great to take photos, great to really appreciate the mocks from all angles and really see all sorts of details when it comes to the builds themselves. And yeah, just really interesting seeing this. One thing that really stood out to me when going alongside and exploring the convention was the heavy emphasis on Bionicle. And that was quite surprising. I guess in Korea, or Asia in particular, Bionicle is still very big, and it definitely has a very large fan base, whereas the AFOLs today and the big LEGO conventions, sure, there's usually some focus on Bionicle, like there's a section for it, but here it was, I would say, over 60 to 70% Bionicle, and then the rest of it was just other mocks. Like here you can see some of the other system stuff, but even when there were other system builds, a lot of them were mechas like this. So you got like different mechs for anime and whatnot. So it was interesting seeing just a completely different focus, which again ties back into having a cultural interest in, I guess, mechs and large robots, which is why Bionicle was so predominant. They were really nicely organized as well, so you have a section for realistic fighter jets and military aircraft and planes, and then you have bits and pieces for city, and then you get into more sci-fi stuff like characters and creatures that were made out of system bricks, and then of course an entire section for all sorts of different Bionicle builds and little dioramas as well. Again, this was only just the first section. This was not the main convention area. It was really just the lead-in. It was almost like a teaser, so people who were walking in the mall could see these builds and go, oh, what's up with that? And then make their way on over to the actual main part of the convention itself. Look at the way that windmill's built. That is done really nicely. Big fan of how they did that. And there were builds big and small here, but just a really interesting variety, from Technic to System to Bionicle. The types of stuff that you could see here, I would say personally, were quite different than what you would expect to see for standard LEGO conventions, especially in the US, where a lot of times they have their own particular styles to them, but the one thing that drew me in was I was literally just walking along the mall, and I just happened to cross Vazon here, like a character from Bionicle, fully built up as a mock on display, and I was like, whoa, what is that? I thought I was like going crazy. I thought it was just some sort of a mech display, but then I got closer and I realized that everything was made out of Lego, and that was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Here you've got that kind of Duplo bunny there, which is a nice thing to see. And the BricKorea convention, one cool thing was that for the LEGO pop-up store, they had a 20 to 40% off discount, which honestly didn't really affect things too much because that basically brought the prices back to the standard US pricing. That's the one thing. LEGO's really expensive in Asia, especially in Korea, and we'll be talking about that a lot more because I do have a full-on trip summary video of LEGO shopping in Korea and Japan, which is coming out very soon. I just wanted to get this convention out of the way because initially it was supposed to be just one big video of my trip to Korea, Japan, and I realized it was going to be like 2 hours long, and the convention was just alone going to take up a big chunk of it, so I thought, you know what we're going to do is we will split up the videos. We are going to have a section dedicated just for the convention, and then a section dedicated to Japan, and a video dedicated to Korea. So 3 videos in total based on my experience there. And this is not even covering Legoland Korea or Legoland Japan, which were whole experiences unto themselves. Again though, what we're seeing here is basically just the lead into the exhibit. I'm going to let the videos play now, and you can kind of just, if you choose to take a look and continue to see what they had to offer here. I really like that Joker statue. Look at that. That's really funny. So interesting how they were able to capture the dynamics of the characters. That Iron Man looks amazing, and Venom as well. All these buildable characters out of system bricks were just so cool. Really, really impressive stuff. But anyways, I'm just going to let this video play. You can tune in later on in the video to hear my thoughts on some of the other builds. I'll be popping in and out with my commentary, but for now, enjoy the builds in just the lead up to the main convention. Again, this was not the main convention. Of course, I had to return the next day and fully check out the convention during normal operating hours. Here is that pop-up store, which was quite interesting. This was in December of 2022. I was really hoping to see some new 2023 sets on the shelves because sometimes in the past, the last time I went to Korea, they had sets out really early, but they seem to be really sticking to the street dates this time. So I guess that makes sense. They had some of the LEGO commercials playing on the screen there, and a good assortment of sets. Of course, really good to see LEGO Monkey Kid on store shelves. That's a theme that is no longer on store shelves, at least here in the US, so it was cool to see that. And this was basically the full selection of LEGO, including some close to retiring sets that were available, and it was really interesting because, yeah, all those 20% off, 30% off stickers, those all applied to the sets, making at least a few of them a little cheaper than the US. They were still not that great compared to the US in terms of price, but at least some of them were cheaper. But then, of course, it was time to get into the main convention area. So everything you just saw was outside on the hallway leading up to it. But then finally, we could enter the main convention, and I think the coolest mock to me, the one that was an absolute standout. I actually saw this on Instagram before I came, and I thought, wow, that's cool. I'm never going to see that in person. Literally days later, I went and saw it in person just by chance. It is a massive Bionicle-like dragon that combines system, Bionicle construction technique. Just look at the sculpting on that. So cool. Some of my other favorites were these reimaginations of the Bionicle G2 Toa Uniters, where they really tried to give each Toa a unique design that combined the animals that they combined with. So you've got the Tahu here with the Phoenix wings, which just looks so cool. I love the way that is done. Very interesting shaping for the chest piece there, and using some of those Chima fire pieces. You have Onua, who feels really like a large titan. Look at those spikes around his legs, and he's got a massive hammer as well. Just so cool to see this, all the details here. You can go on down, you can see Gali here, who has been transformed into a mermaid-like character, so that was really interesting, seeing just completely different takes on the G2 Toa aesthetic, while still trying to maintain some aspects of their builds. So, again, you have Kopaka and Melem here, who's kind of combined. He has almost a brick-built cloak on the back there that has the same hand pieces being used, so they clearly are the Uniters combined with their creatures, but just something a little bit more interesting on the back here. So Pohatu is with Katarv, who's been very much revamped, and I like how each of these really feels like a Titan-type build, and that one actually incorporated a concept art of Pohatu using a razor saw. Over here are some incredible dragon builds. I think I was just so impressed and blown away by each of these themed dragons and some custom minifigures beneath them. You can really imagine that these are part of some sort of a castle display with the dragon knights down there, all with custom capes, and then that glorious dragon. Looks like they just cut out cardboard for the wings and used it, which I guess that works. It looks really good. And the shaping and sculpting on this beast is just beyond out of this world amazing. You have a green dragon here that is obviously inspired a little bit by Ninjago pieces. You've got the Ninjago Lloyd's legendary dragon wings and headpiece, but really reimagining it to be leading an army of forest people there. So that's a really interesting thing. And I really love how they didn't just have the dragons here. They have an army that's marching alongside them. Look at all those copies of that incredibly rare Star Wars face. That's crazy to see that. But of course, there's rockwork and sculpturing around it. A water dragon, of course. Oh, that looks so good. And the presentation was just sublime, amazing. The clouds forming ripples and mist around the water, and the dragon rising up. That was so cool. I think one of my other favorite mocks here was the Takanuva versus Pterodax and the Toamata versus the little Makuta Tohunga there. Just completely revamped versions of the Toamata, which still retain the original design, and of course the Makuta as well. That just looked so good. So here you can see a view at pretty much what the main convention looked like. This was a few minutes before closing because I had basically gone out all day, and then I just had a few more minutes to just go around right before it closed around like 6 or 7 p.m. So it was totally empty. I had the entire area to myself, and I could just had a chance to explore and enjoy all the different builds on display. Again, huge focus on Bionicle and Construction, and of course Castle as well. This was such a cool castle build to get. Big fan of the way the sculpting is done there. Look at that rockwork. We'll have a lot more images of these later on in the video. A lot of times here I'm just kind of showcasing the convention as a whole and looking at the video itself, but just so many amazing things on display here. Just really interesting stuff. I'm going to let these videos play and let you see for yourselves the amazing LEGO builds at BricKorea 2022. And comment down below which are your favorites as well, because, I mean, mine were probably the dragon stuff and the Bionicle stuff, and it was just so cool to see every bit in piece here. I think this right here was easily one of my favorite builds. It is a celebration of Lego Castle and older Lego Castle themes, and I found it very funny because if you zoom in, look at that. 4 goats. How much money is in that photo? 4 goats just chilling, just casually, you know, the goats are just vibing there. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff here. You can see the Forest Men in a custom Forest Men cape. There's an entire section dedicated to the tree houses of the Forest Men, and then you have a little bit of an area for the medieval market stuff, and it really does feel like that's a really large version of the Forest Men Fortress Forest Hideout. That was so cool. And this is more of like a Black Falcon's castle, so a good celebration of original classic Lego Castle themes. I'm a sucker for Lego Castle. I love Lego Castle. I love everything about it. Just so cool, and it was so amazing seeing this and this other build where this just blew me away. This is a masterpiece. Just look, amazing rock work. You have a procession of Black Falcon Knights. I'm guessing those were bought off of Bricks and Pieces, like I got my own Knights. And you have a little bit of a battle as well with some of the Marauders and the Dragon Knights, as well as a faction of Black Falcons going alongside the town there. And then you get up to the main castle. You have a great artillery. You have a section dedicated to celebrating all the different styles of knights. So maybe they're having a bit of a tournament there. All the shields up on that castle there, which is a celebration of all sorts of different LEGO castle themes. And this build was just such a joy to look at. I could have spent hours just staring at this build. So cool. One of the most unique things here was a special exhibit dedicated to multiple different mocks based around the Hero Factory Dragon Bolt head from Brain Attack. Dragon Bolt was a really, I guess it was a set that was very ambitious for Hero Factory, and it was kind of mixed, but I really like how they just were able to paint that head and give us completely different dragons just based on that one head sculpt in different colors. Just so cool. Look at all these amazingly unique and different dragons, which were really interesting to see here. Of course, I had to pay a lot of attention and take copious photos of what was probably the centerpiece of the exhibit, or one of the centerpieces. And it was just this gargantuan dragon, 3 or 5 headed even. Actually, no, even more heads than 5. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 headed dragon. I may have missed some, but this is just such a unique build. You have amazing shaping on the torso and legs. Just so cool to see that. These 2007 and 2008 Bionicle revamps, from Onua Mystica to Kalma to this reimagination of Tahu Mystica, were really great to see. I love seeing Bionicle builds being rebuilt and reimagined in different ways, and that was such a joy to see actual Bionicle mocks just casually in the mall that I was staying at. Oh, I desperately wish there were instructions or breakdown photos of these builds because I would build these in a heartbeat. They are so good. I love these reimaginations of the Toa Uniters from G2. Big fan of how they turned out, and wow, if there were ever breakdown photos or instructions, I couldn't even find these easily online, but if there are more photos, I would love to make them myself and add them to my collection because they're just so stunningly good. This iteration of Makuta that uses the Kai's Fire Dragon from Ninjago Legacy Wings is just the perfect movie Makuta to me. Sure, it does embellish on it a little bit, but the design is just so good, and the usage of those wings are really cool too. This here was something that was kind of interesting. It was advertised as you could move around your hand and the joints would actually move. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to be working when I actually tried it out, but that was also a really cool thing I hope worked. I'll end with one of the coolest builds for me, which was to reimagine set number 8480, the LEGO Technic Space Shuttle, in modern times. It came out in 1996, and this was saying, well, what if LEGO were to make a Technic set of it today? And it's really good. I feel like LEGO Technic needs to give us a space shuttle again. That was one of the coolest LEGO Technic sets back when Technic was pretty much brick-based, and I just was so charmed by seeing this reimagined in a modern building style with modern Technic pieces. I wish that LEGO would do this again nowadays. This is like the perfect build to me, and I think that's a good final build to end on. One of my favorites that I saw here. But as you saw, this was an amazing LEGO convention, and it was a very unique one as well. It felt very different than a normal LEGO convention in the US, where it was more focused on the social aspect and meeting builders, and a lot of security, and you have to pay to enter. Here it was just an exhibition more than a convention, and it was just a place where, as you're shopping through the mall, you can choose to just go up the escalator and check out the amazing LEGO builds if you want. It was very casual, and it was completely different than many other convention-type things that I've seen in the US. It was a different approach to having a LEGO convention, and I really enjoyed it. It was really unique, and it felt very personal to an extent, almost being able to just have moments in solitude and being able to just be the only person in the entire exhibit, just taking a look at the mocks and taking them in and just enjoying them and being able to get up close and taking amazing pictures, as you saw here. The photos here are just so close up because you could just reach over, stick your phone in, and take photos. Really, they were just very open about that, which I was very happy with. And it was just a great time overall, being able to experience mocks built from the Korean LEGO fan community, which is thriving, as you can see, absolutely thriving, especially the Bionicle community here. So I had a fantastic time and would definitely recommend BricKorea if you're in the Seoul area. They seem to do this every single year. Go check it out at COEX Mall, connected to the Intercontinental Hotel, which was where I was staying at. Really, really amazing experience overall. Had a great time, just a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one, seeing this and all those Bionicle mocks as well. Alright, and with that we have summed up our look at the BricKorea 2022 LEGO Convention. Let me know down in the comments below, what was your favorite build? I certainly love seeing all those Bionicle mocks and that massive castle. Oh, that was just so cool. And it was really interesting experiencing a LEGO convention in a country that was not the US. I don't really go to a ton of LEGO conventions, but this was a very unique experience. And I would love to hear down in the comments if you are from the Korea Seoul area or if you visited BricKorea before, what have been your thoughts? I know that the next time I'm in the area, if they are running it again, I certainly will be checking it out. And so, without further ado, we have summed up this video. Thank you all so much for tuning into DuckBricks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.